welcome to the Two Dudes Talk Music YouTube channel. I am the Reverend Raff.
We did it, we made it.
Because when a band's name starts being everywhere, it can be very easy to go like, okay, like.
Just because I know what it's like to feel left out and to feel like people are weird or mean to you, and so I never want to be that person, and I want...
This here is my good friend Kyle, aka the BeerBuddy.
Big opportunity. You guys must be stoked you're on the first day too, because you can just sort of shoot. Yeah, you can just relax.
Brian was sitting down with his longtime friend and his former bandmate Meegs from Cold Chamber, and they were having coffee, and Brian was...
When those questions go, those hearty chuckles.
You know what that laughter says to me is like, people don't even know what's coming. People just are going to be minds are going to be blown by that.
No, it will be a fucking banger.
What's going on, everybody? I am the Reverend Raff, joined once again by my good friend Kyle, aka the BeerBuddy.
What's going on, everybody?
We are the two dudes who talk music, and we are back again today with another podcast episode for you guys. That's right, we're back in the saddle. I am 99.9% over my illness. Kyle is guessing recovering well from our discussion.
I am. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really good. Back to physio soon, and get really back into it.
Oh, nice. Good to hear, man. Good to hear. Yeah. How's everything other than the neck stuff?
Man, it's all good, eh? All good. Got a lot of hedging done. Got some backyard cleaned up. Big thanks to my brother for that. So, yeah, that was a massive load off today. Mm-hmm. Getting all that done. And then, just a chilled out afternoon with my brother, and we had a couple of beers and got up to some mischief. My daughter went out to a little thing, and,
awesome.
It was good. It was a mad afternoon. Good, how are you going, man? Like, other than the sickness, how's life treating you, man?
I'm doing good. I finally finished unpacking the suitcase from Metal to the Max.
I'll see you sent me the message. The filth.
Finally got done cleaning that. I pulled everything out, cleaned up the dirt off all the fucking cables as best I could. That, 2-year-old suitcase is now going to be full of red dust for the rest of its existence.
Dude.
Got the banner out, hosed that off to get all of the dirt off of that.
Yeah.
I've had a pretty effective weekend, did the lawns, and cleaned the shower, all that sort of stuff. So
all the domesticated shit that we need to get done in order to maintain some sort of cleanliness and civility in this world.
Yeah, unfortunately. But no, man, look, other than that, look, I want to give my apologies to everyone. I know we promised that there was going to be sort of a recap or a review video or a report video on the Drowning Pool Alien Ant Farm gig. Unfortunately, just with me being unwell, I wasn't able to get it in the bag. And then, after I was better, it was kind of a bit too late. Seemed a bit too late to really do it. So
it does get like that.
But look, a bit of wrap up for you if you were interested. It was fucking great. Frankenbock opened, which was just awesome. Like, those guys are always
insane.
Frankenbock's always a good time. And then like Drowning Pool obviously was absolutely killer, as we expected. Mm-hmm. I will admit, I think the original lineup with CKY as the support would have flowed better, because once you got Frankenbock and Drowning Pool, Alien Ant Farm feels like a bit of a drop in energy or intensity. Not energy, but intensity maybe. Intensity kind of. So and I know it was advertised as an Alien Ant Farm headline tour, and they didn't want to switch that out when Drowning Pool got on board. But I really feel like that with that combination, Drowning Pool should have been in the headline spot. But things were what they were. I did manage to catch Ryan in person, which was awesome.
Yeah, that would have been cool, man.
During a sort of quieter moment of the night, when I was, kind of mid-set for Alien Ant Farm, I ducked outside to check out the merch options, picked myself up a nice Drowning Pool shirt and guitar pick necklace, and then happened to turn around and Ryan was right fucking there. So I just said a nice little quiet thank you for doing the interview and recording that nice message for Kazzy, and off we went. But in addition to that, obviously had AEW Grand Slam, which was a hell of a time, bro. Hell of a time.
Yeah,
oh my word. It ended up being about 4 hours worth of just white hot wrestling glory. It was, great to see, because it's good when we get WWE over here for the house tours and stuff, but a lot of that you have kids that, drag their parents along, right? So half the crowd doesn't really know or care what's going on. And we tend to be because the crowd's a little quieter in that regard, we tend to be a bit shyer into when we're coming up for certain stuff. But this was not that. This was, 12,000 people at Brisbane Entertainment Centre ready to fucking go. Like, how you go to a concert and sometimes people like milling around in the sort of lobby area or the foyer area until the headliner's on because that's the only band they care about. So it kind of, not really that you can kind of get to your seats pretty quickly and it kind of slowly fills up. Not this, man. Let me tell you, like people were there and they were there early. The merch lines were fucking hectic. I got myself a nice little Tony Storm, 2000 edition Australian special fucking figure. I don't know if you can see, she's got like a little Maroons jersey up there behind her.
Oh, no.
She's from the Goldie.
Yeah.
I mean, that was they've been going gangbusters online in the secondhand market.
Wow.
The merch went crazy, man. They sold out of so much merch. It was insane. And like once they opened the doors to the actual bowl, it was packed. Everyone just wanted to get in there and get to their seats and get shit underway. Everyone was hyped for it, ready to go. They were loud from the offset. They were cheering. They wanted, they obviously wanted to see their people win. Obviously they wanted to keep the Aussie wins because a lot of Aussies competing for a lot of titles, and they didn't want to. You can't just put it all on the Aussies because you're in Australia, unfortunately. So
no. Look, at the end of the day, it's meant to be broadcast to an international stage, but hosted by the Australian community.
So they kind of held off.
There's got to be a balance.
They kind of held off any Aussies winning titles until the very end of the show. But man, honestly, like I know it was not the same size as something like WrestleMania, but to me, it really felt almost like that. Over here, it was the same excitement because that many people at that level of fandom of something like wrestling doesn't happen often in Australia. Like getting that many hardcore fans of something in something like wrestling in the one place isn't that common. So it was amazing.
Well, I also find it with Aussies too. They never go into whether everyone knows the thing with wrestling or whatever. But I find Aussies never really go into anything without knowing what they're getting into, especially when it comes down to sport. It's like even if I was a dad, like I'm a dad, if I got dragged out to it and I didn't know, it'd be like, well, for the next 2 weeks, I'm getting to know it, so I at least know what I'm watching and I'm entertained to some extent.
Yeah, you would. Not every parent does. But see, AEW tends to swing towards us generally a little bit more of a mature audience. Like you tend to have a slightly higher percentage of adults in the fan base than young kids compared to WWE. So, and look, the highlight for me, other than Tony Storm winning back the title, obviously, had to be when Edge, Adam Copeland, came out for his match. So for those of you who don't know, he's been doing it for like 30 years now. He's, getting very near to the end of his career. He said in an interview ahead of the event, this is probably going to be the last time he's able to compete or perform in Australia. So, and his theme song is Metalingus by Alter Bridge.
Oh, man.
So he comes out and the crowd, 12,000 fucking people singing along at the top of their lungs. They pulled the music back right when it came into the second chorus, and the whole crowd kept singing. There's videos out there of it, and it's unreal. I'll send you one. I'll try and find and send you one.
Do it.
Because it is just the crowd singing, everyone singing at the top of their lungs as a way, and a lot of people realize they're like, yeah, this is probably the last time we'll get to see, Edge perform in Australia, and so we want to give him a send-off. We want to say thank you. And so they just sang it. Everyone sang it as loud as we could, and it's just it just chills. I can see you watching it now in your glasses.
Oh man,
and you can see him get a bit choked up, and
it's unreal. Like what I love it. I love it when you can almost make and break character, where you actually hit him right in that sweet spot, and you'll.
So that was real exciting. I'm really, really glad that that the show went well and the crowd was excited. And unfortunately, Buddy Matthews did cop a little bit of an injury on his entrance. He was up on the corner and jumped down back into the ring and kind of rolled his ankle a bit. So I think I hope he gets well soon. Get well soon, buddy. But yeah, man, like, look, it was electric. It was fucking electric. And hopefully they said they're coming back next year, so we'll see how that plays out. Depending on what happens.
I think it really should just start being a major thing now, where it should just be like UK gets one or two, you know, like go through like Ireland, Scotland, you know, all those places like that. Hit Australia.
It's happening more often. Like WWE's starting to do a lot more international pay-per-views now. Like last year they had Elimination Chamber in Perth, obviously, which was, you know, I would have loved to go to that, but you know, just fun situation being what it was, I couldn't justify flying to Perth and then paying those kind of ticket prices.
Yeah, that's it.
And many people felt the same about this event in Brisbane. You know, it's you know, it is what it is there. But you know, WWE is doing a lot of stuff through Europe and in Central America, and you know, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see AEW in Australia or WWE coming back to Australia soon for another pay-per-view or another televised event, because it adds a lot more. It's better than, I think it's better to do that than do the house tours, because you know, the house tours are a bit of a different energy. But yeah, so you know, we've been kicking on.
We've been
busy. We're getting back into it. We've filmed a bunch more reactions for you guys. Got some great stuff on the way, and we are
tonight's band, man. We got to get into that.
But so before we get into the band that we've got on tonight, I do want to. This is something we're going to be trying to do more regularly. I want to give a shout out to the Patreon members. I know that we put. If you watch it on YouTube, you see their names in the credits at the end of every video. But you know, if they're listening to the podcast, or if they're, you know, watching the stuff on Patreon, they don't see that because we take the ads out, right? So we want to give them a special shout out because we love this crew. This is a, you know, there's not a whole lot of them, but we really appreciate the love and support.
You're all MVPs.
These guys send our way. So I do want to give a shout out to our guys. So it's not this one, it's not that one, it's the other one. That's his username. That's the username. The other one.
I love it. The other one.
Next on the list, some call him Tim.
Oh,
if you know, you know. Love you, Timmy.
Oh, thank you.
Love your work. Baby Blue Eyes, Brad Pitt, as I like to call him.
Yes, thanks, Boo Boo.
And last but not least, it takes 12 of him to make a Kessel run. We have Tarsek. Thank you very, very much.
Very
all
cool.
Our amazing Patreon members. You guys are absolutely incredible. If you don't know, we do have a Patreon. It's only $2 Australian a month, so it's fuck all.
Less than a schooner. Heaps less than a schooner at the moment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you get everything. You get all of our videos early and ad-free. And we are working on ideas or trying to come up with ways to do some Patreon exclusive content. As you guys know, we do all of this on the back of having day jobs. So our time to make additional content is a little bit limited, but you know, don't want to really put too much behind a paywall. We don't want to force people to pay for our stuff. We want to make it available to as many as possible, but this shit costs time and money is the end of the story, end of the day. So we need to try and at least cover some of our costs in doing that, which is why we have the Patreon. If you want to sling a little bit our way, the link will be down below. Don't feel you have to. As we said, I know times are tight, and I know everyone's trying to compete for you to sign up for their thing. But you know, if you're into what we do and you're entertained by our, you know, ramblings and yammerings and all of that shit, then it'd be really appreciated if you could just consider that. That's links down below. But yes, speaking of yammering, I've done enough of that. We have some very, very special guests today. They are coming to us all the way from Europe. Yeah. That's right. We've got some more Europe stuff here. So we have a Swiss band. They are a thrash metal band, and they are absolutely killing it. They have incredible old school vibes, and they have
new school flavor.
With new school flavor, absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Old school vibes, new school flavor. I like that description.
Yeah. It was funny because I was listening to this in the car the other week, and literal goosebumps. It was hitting that hard. It's great.
Yep. You can tell that these guys have influence from old school thrash, but they like bringing some new school elements in as well. If you like any kind of thrash, I have a feeling you're going to dig these guys.
Or Lamb of God. If you're a Lamb of God fan, you'll love these guys.
Lamb of God too, a little bit of that in there. So we are going to jump over and start chatting with these guys right now. We have XONOR, and they are an incredible thrash band, and I cannot wait to dive into this one. Let's go.
Let's go.
Welcome, Donna. Thank you so much for joining us today. We very, very much appreciate you taking the time. I understand you just got back from a gig. How was it? How was the show? How'd you guys go last night?
First off, thanks for the invite. Very excited to be here. The show was in the south part of Switzerland. First time we were down there. The energy was insane. Could have been a few more people. Actually, the amount of people was just right. The problem was the venue was too large. It's one of those situations where the booker was like, yeah, let's get a venue for 1,000 people. The government's paying for it anyway, so we might as well take the big one. Whereas a band, I'd usually rather say take the smaller one. And then if you get 200 people, it's like packed. But if you have a big one and there's 200 people, it looks empty. But it wasn't that big. It wasn't 1,000. But it was great. There was mosh pits from start to the end, and met a lot of cool people down there.
Awesome.
That was good.
Awesome. I love that. I love those gigs, man, when just like the vibes are on point and everyone just like has a good time. Like, I mean, Kyle and I both used to play in in metal bands. Well, I mean, I still do play in bands. Kyle used to play in metal bands, but
long time
ago. So we know the vibes. We know how it can be when everyone's having a good time and everything goes well. It's awesome. Yeah, it just feels good.
Start to finish. What's interesting about that place was, Switzerland is usually known for punctuality and like strict timetable, but in the south, the doors were like at 8 with no exact time when the first band starts. So it's just like, yeah, you guys ready? Nah, we need another 20 minutes. All right. So we ended up playing only at, I think it was like 10 to 12. Like the latest we've ever played.
Wow. That shit wouldn't fly here, man. They got hard outs at some of these venues, let me tell you.
Yeah. They do in Switzerland, but apparently in the south they just don't give a shit, which I respect.
I respect the shit out of that. If you can get away with it, do it.
Yeah. It's just they're just less complicated down south.
I want one of these these balaclavas, man. I love it. I love the stitching around the eyes and that. It's awesome.
Actually,
they use on the shows.
I wear them the entire show, and usually the eyes in the beginning are like this, but after wearing them a few times, they sort of start enlarging and they make you look even more goofy, just progressively.
I'll give you a piece of advice.
Don't
play in Australia during the summer if you're going to run that.
Yeah, no. If you want to play, if you ever come to Australia, and please come to Australia sometime, because I reckon you guys would do good numbers here. If you're ever going to come down here and tour, do it in winter, because I tell you, man, you come down here in summer and try and play in those, and you will be just cooking.
I heard a story of a band. They went down to Australia for the same reason, and they said, "Yeah, we're going during winter time, so it's warm." But they fucking forgot that winter time is August for you, lads. They ended up fucking playing in scorching hot December heat.
Oh no!
Yeah,
I can't remember which band it was, but yeah, we'll keep that in mind, because apparently you guys are.
I mean, I play in one of the bands I play in. Like, we wear masks as part of our shtick as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic, like wastelander kind of vibe, that sort of thing. So we wear masks as a part of that, and you take them. It's like latex masks and stuff, and so like you take them off by the end of the show. And I think the last gig we played was we've been a bit of a break, but the last one we played was about a year ago, so it was February, and it was, it must have been. I mean, where I'm at in Brisbane it's hot, sort of subtropical, so it gets quite humid, and you kind of get a wet season through the summer, and it's just super high humidity. And I think this particular day was really hot, so it was something like high 30 degrees and with high humidity, and we're up there in these masks and everything, and it was just it can get very, very not fun when you're doing that sometimes, but
it's worth it, right?
That's half.
It's worth
the fun.
The branding, exactly. And especially when you get the pictures after the show, it just fucking looks great,
Well, the best photos of me on stage are the ones when I'm wearing a mask. Let me tell you that much. So.
Of course, yeah. we only take them off for the last song for dick pics, and because then we just basically throw off the masks, and we don't even like properly look at what we're playing. Like we know what we're playing, but we just don't give a shit about all the mistakes because the song's relatively simple, and we could start going ham. We throw shit at each other on stage, and if someone falls on the drum kit, it's always just chaos, and that's the only part
Got
that
to
take
come
off.
out to Australia.
Yeah.
Fuck, you guys got to come out to Australia. They will eat you lot up. They will love you.
Yeah.
Because I love it too. Like I was saying in the intro, just like before you came on, you know, I was listening to this stuff the other week and I was getting literal goosebumps. Like it gave me that, like it was like just that Lamb of God the vibe. It was just big. It was loud. It was heavy. It made me the gas. I was going to get a speeding ticket all in the one go. It was just, it was just one of those things where I'm just starting to speed up a bit too much because I'm having too much fun with these mad songs. Yeah,
But that's what makes good music, right? Making you lose yourself.
Yeah, it does. And
like, one right there.
Like I listened to the album and the singles you guys have released, and like I can hear the old school thrash elements coming through. Like I can hear like the early Metallica, the Megadeth, the Anthrax, the Testament, like those so much of that Bay Area thrash coming through, but also the newer elements that are infused throughout it as well. Like we said, Lamb of God, like that sort of, because there's elements from sort of all across the history of thrash that you guys have pulled together for what you're doing, and it's
completely, yeah.
It's like I said, if people are listening to this and you've not listened to XONOR, go and listen to what they're doing, because like it's
you heard the man.
it is absolutely killer. Like, and like I say, if you were to come out here and tour with like I don't know if you're familiar with a band called King Parrot.
I just saw them last week.
Yeah,
did ya?
Yeah, they were the support act for Pantera in Zurich. They were fun, man. I tell you, like, I just the one thing I can remember is just the bass player. He comes up on stage, just stands there, takes his shirt off, and goes.
Yeah.
that shit that already sold it for me. It's pure relentless confidence.
Yeah, intensity. Yeah. That band is like, that's Aussie intensity, like personified. Those dudes, love them. So you guys originally came together, as I understand it, during the pandemic. Is that right? Yeah.
Okay. It was okay. So originally there was the original four of them. Of the original four, there was only two of us left. But back then, original four kind of met over a period of, let's say, half a year via an internet, just like there's this message board, findmyband.ch, and you could basically post a thing in there. And our drummer had like countless musicians come in, and usually was never a fit. And then when I joined, I was the last one to sort of join the group. That's when we sort of founded the band. And it was this was May 2020, and from then on, it kind of just kept rolling, yeah.
Okay, wow. Awesome. And I think you were saying in some of the info you sent through that like the earlier gigs that you were playing were like essentially illegal gigs. Was that right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We, of course, pandemic, no shows at all, at least for the first 2 years. They sort of started loosening up using the COVID certificate in 2020, late 2021. It was started to get possible again. But yeah, our first, I'd say 4 or 5 gigs were semi-legal to not quite legal to not, I can't say more. No, see, there was no, like, you got to understand, we started a band and it was like early 2020, and the restrictions weren't that crazy just yet, okay? And they only started really getting crazy late 2020, at least for us. That's when you couldn't even go to work, if you were more than 2 people in an office, shit like that,
Oh, wow.
The restrictions were absolutely mind-boggling here in Europe. Such as, well, I mean, I enjoyed it because I got to work from home a lot with regards to work. But like our rehearsals were illegal, effectively, because we were more than 4 people in one room, or we were 4 people in one room. Yeah. That was illegal. So just that, and then next thing you know, you just invite a few guests, and then it's everything.
Hey, bro, honestly, I'm a shit kicker. You know how much my life changed during the pandemic as far as work went? Fucking it didn't.
No,
I didn't. I went to work every day. I'm a forklift driver, bro. I had to keep the country moving. I had to go fill trucks every day. My life changed fucking, except for the fact that after work, I couldn't do shit.
Yeah. Oh, that was. You see, I was lucky because I have an office job, but the rest of the band, they were not so lucky. They had the same shit, and there was just no more free time, nothing. It was just the how should I say, the leisure activities were restricted to like hidden parties in the woods, all the way to underground shows. Like the best thing about Switzerland is like almost every house has a air shelter in the cellar, right?
Ooh.
Which make for ideal band rooms, and also you could sort of just do a little gig in there if you wanted to. So we started off doing a bunch of band room gigs, and then eventually we started like hitting up bars that weren't exactly, just big bars that a lot of people go to. They were just in like little small villages, and then we just meet up there to be like 50 people in a small, tiny little corner of a bar, just moshing it out. And one of our shows even got stopped because the cops came.
Wow.
Yeah, this was late 2020, October 2020. The video was actually on YouTube, but only few of the songs are on YouTube because after that they shut it down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we had no choice because we started off the band. We just really had to get rid of this energy, this desire to want to get up on stage. And so the first 2 years of our band's existence, we basically got very little stage presence, and it kind of forced us to go all in on social media, which is where most people know us from. We're the chronic TikTok band, but it's
Mate, that's
starting
a space
to.
you need to fill at the moment, isn't it?
Of course, yeah. Like it's amazing. There are bands, thrash bands especially, that do TikTok, but none of them, apart from Morning High. I don't know if you know them. They're from Western USA. We're I can almost say we're the biggest thrash metal band on TikTok because
Right.
because there's just no competition. And I tell other bands, just do TikToks, bro. Like, just do it. Watch TikTok, do TikToks. But they're all like just
They still got the old school mentality towards it, like, because it's what comes along with thrash. I guess it's you sort of still melded in the old school, and the bands that are going to separate themselves are the ones that catch up real quick. And you're having a look at a lot of the younger ones. They're really starting to work it out slowly.
I see a little bit of both. You have the younger bands they'll go on TikTok, but they'll start neglecting other important things. They think that like social media promoting is just consisting of just posting trendy videos, right, with like stupid dance moves or something. But it's a lot more than that. A lot of branding goes into play, a lot of repetition, consistency, all that sorts of stuff. And they neglect that because you need a fundamental understanding of how a band works to actually effectively promote yourself on social media. Otherwise, all your efforts will be in vain.
I mean, well, I saw like TikTok is great for music discovery. I mean, I've basically I'll go through, and if a band pops up that I like the sound of, I'll be like, cool, I'll do I'll favorite the video, and then every so often I'll go through and note down all of the bands I've favorited and sort of then unfavorite them, so I know like the thing. And I've got like 250 bands on a list that I'm like, cool, I'm gonna be when we need people for the podcast, I'm hitting up these bands, right? Like that's my
hell yeah,
that's my thing.
Hell yeah.
But like I must have seen, God, like the way that TikTok algorithm works is so crazy. Like you'll get in like a little corner of something and you'll get so many videos on it. But I must have seen, like, without no joke, I probably saw about a dozen videos from you guys for your song "Murder the Government." And that one like just kept popping up, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, when first couple of times, I'm like, all right, I kind of dig this. Like, this is pretty cool. So I like followed, and then like kept popping up. I'm like, I really need to actually like get off my ass and check out what these guys are doing. And it's just like right away, it was like, oh yeah, I am loving this. So it's, and I mean, but you guys have,
hell yeah.
I mean, you guys, sorry, go on.
We basically terrorized you into listening to our music.
Well, I mean, look, you only have to look at the way you've done your stuff. It's all been waterfall releases since 2020. It's been EPs, a lot of singles. It's what we keep on telling a lot of bands in Australia that they need to do. If you're going to have an album's worth there, try and spread that album out over a couple of months. to keep
Yeah.
yourself relevant in the algorithm. And you guys have done that perfectly. It's like, and
But you
then
see this, we also work a lot different. Well, thank you first of all, but we don't even write albums. It's what we did. We did release an album, but it was never an album from begin with. We wrote single after single after single,
Yep.
and then we ended up just taking all these singles, putting them into an album. We're like, here, fucking take the album. You know, we were so hell bent against doing an album because we just didn't see the point. So if we're going to get into those music industry questions later on, that's something I can definitely talk about.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
no,
No. It's all good. I mean, I was gonna say, like, you guys have obviously the music is like thrash is the best descriptor of what you guys do, obviously, but there is the energy about it is so rebellious that it's just got this air of just like that like punk rock anti-establishment like fuck you, I won't do what you tell me, you know, energy as well, and that's reflected in like not just the song titles or the lyrics, but like the music videos. I know you guys got into a bit of trouble with a bit of legal trouble with one of your videos, but you guys have played. You guys went to Kiev and played in Kiev, like when there's a fucking war going on.
Twice.
Like that takes balls. That takes insane balls.
Or either balls or just pure insanity. Because I thinking about it now, you know, it was dumb as shit. But I think a lot of the coolest things you can do are often the most dumbest things you can do as well at the same time. We're actually going back to Ukraine again this summer. We're playing at a festival, and it's kind of become our little thing here. We had when we did go to Ukraine in 2022, it was that we had national Swiss newspapers writing of us. We were actually the first foreign band to play there in after the war started. So it was kind of it was never really for like the ego trip. It was kind of we see, the thing is we had a tour planned, and the Ukraine tour, just 4 or 5 gigs in different cities, and then of course Putin did what Putin does best, and the next thing you know, all these people were like, yeah, fuck, you know, we're excited to have you come over. We met a lot of people just through communicating, you know, like other bands, and we already had plans of what we're going to do and everything, just hang out and all that. And we met people, and then we had also people who are now dead in the war. So it was kind of, it kind of became very personal to us, you know what I mean? The whole Ukraine thing. Just because we knew people there, and we just kind of felt like instead of just being the slacktivism band that just posts a story of, you know, fuck Putin, how about we do something? How about we go the extra mile? And you know, we played for free. We didn't get paid a dime to travel down there, to play down there, and it was very expensive with no airports being open. So it was a very, how should I say, one of those moments where we kind of show what we were about, as you said. You know, it's just not being like yes, just so many bands are just out there posting all sorts of political shite. You know,
it's almost paid activism.
Exactly, paid activism or either paid or
armchair activism. Yeah.
Like, you know, anti whatever or pro this, and you know, good for you. I have no problem with that, but it's lazy. It's you know, we've seen it a million times. You know. So yeah,
well, and good on you for having your platform and actually using that to go and do a show for them for free. You know, like you said, I could. What was it like getting into the country during that time? There would have been a lot of like checkpoints and.
Oh yeah.
Like,
it was. I flew to Poland. I flew to Poland, took a bus from Lublin, Poland, to Kiev, and I got into a bus, and it was full of women. There was not a single man in there because the men can't even leave the country. So these were mostly just women who had escaped going back to their country. And basically they just looked at me. They took my passport and are like, took it with them, walked out of the bus. And I was like, okay. Next thing, they called me. And then I walked out of the bus, and then we had to go into this room, bunch of soldiers there. None of them spoke English or German or nothing. And they just started questioning me. And it just said, I'm playing a concert. Digrayon concerti. I had to learn a little bit of Russian to speak to them. And they're like, yeah, proof. And then I had to show them my band and all sorts of stuff. It was, and
Oh,
in the
that's going to be
meantime,
fucked up when you weren't masking most of your photos too.
yeah, so kind of look thing, but we were just showing we had a song written for Ukraine, Saint In-Law, kind of showed them that too. So it was a whole sort of it was a complicated. It wasn't that complicated. It was just they were just doing their
Weird.
due diligence, you know.
Yeah, but it's
The
weird.
border guards. Yeah, I mean, and then next thing they let me go. They're like, yeah, have fun. And ever since the first time I've been there, every time I went down there since then, they let me through. I'm probably on a database or something that just know this dude's alright.
That's
Yeah,
wild. It's like,
man.
I mean, living in Australia, like we don't share any land borders with any other countries.
Nope.
Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's all airports
Really
and
fucking big.
seaports, and that's what it is. And you know, so coming in and out of the country, it's just like it's such a different experience, and we have, you know, I mean, we're very fortunate over here that we are somewhat geographically separated from a lot of that sort of stuff, you know.
But at the same time, unless we go looking for it, it does leave us a little bit ignorant to what's actually going on around the rest of the world with the information that we get told, unless we seek it out.
Yeah,
Of course, yeah. It's I gotta say, obviously, you know, being a landlocked country, you know, traveling across borders is just normal for us. Like I go shopping in Germany; it's cheaper. Not always, but I do that. Don't tell the Swiss patriots that I go shopping in Germany. But no, see, but still, you know, you do have these heavily fortified land borders still in Europe. You know, when you go to Belarus or to Ukraine or even not Moldova, but Russia as well, and it's still a very like sort of. It's not scary exactly, but it just kind of like it humbles you a little bit because you're like, okay, this passport is allowing me to stay in this country. If I lose this passport, I'm fucked. I can't leave this country. So that was my biggest worry when going to Kiev, was not the rocket attacks or, you know, whatever the Russians are sending at us. It was actually me losing my passport and not being able to leave again. That was my biggest fear. I had my passport on me at all times in my pocket, always constantly doing the fucking double tap phone passport, you know. Yeah.
and like that's the other thing. I mean, we can drive here, like,
Bro, we drove 16 hours and we were in the same state.
Yeah, like it's ridiculous. I mean, I used to live in Sydney, the same city where Kyle lives, but I moved up to Brisbane, and Brisbane is about 1,000 kilometers north of Sydney, right? Give or take. But the next, I don't know if it's necessarily the next biggest city in Queensland, but one of the next major cities in Queensland, if you keep going north, like you can drive basically 2,000 kilometers north from Brisbane and I'm still in Queensland. I'm still in the same state. Like the size like Australia is essentially the size of a large portion of Europe, you know, like if you overlay that on a map, it's crazy. And the idea to me of like being able to drive for you know a couple of hours and be in a completely different country is just such a
get a whole new tax system. Go into just get a whole new tax system.
Tax system, or you know, better yet, a war zone.
You know? And that's one of the things that with Australia, it's like it's one of the reasons that the Australian music industry is as challenging as it is, because you know everyone's so far apart. Like you'll kind of have you got like Sydney, and then you've got, you know, sort of some smaller cities that are a bit north or a bit south of there, but you know there's a lot of like concentrated. The population's very concentrated in certain spots.
Cities especially, probably, right?
Yeah, and there's just so much like nothing in between that it's like getting from, you know, if you want to do a show if you're in a Sydney band and you want to play a show in Brisbane or Melbourne, that's like a trip. That's like 10 to 12 hours worth of driving, or you have to fly. It's like that's it, you know.
So,
and if you want to go, if you want to go to Adelaide, like forget it. You know you only I have a saying when it comes to bands that want to play shows in Adelaide. which is they'll only drive the first time that they play a show in Adelaide, because it's like
Adelaide's right in the centre, isn't it?
not sort of it's southern. It's on the south part of the country, but it's
Okay.
like 18
It's in
hours.
the middle, but in the south of it.
Yeah, like 18 hours from Sydney to drive to Adelaide. And
you only
every band I've spoken to that's played there has gone, yeah, no, we're just gonna drive, because it's like it's a long drive, but it's just cheaper than flying. We can't afford to fly and take all of our gear, because I don't know what the airlines are like over there, but they're fucking really terrible for bands over here. Like the amount of gear that you've got to take with you, and it just becomes a logistical nightmare. So bands will drive, and then they drive, and then after they play it, they're like, no, we're never doing that again. We're flying next time. I don't care how complicated or much of a pain in the ass it is, what luggage fees we have to pay, what gear we have to hire. Like we're flying. So it's, but yeah, it's just the distances that we got to deal with here is like insane for some of these shows. But you do it because you love it.
Of course, yeah.
You know, that's one of the reasons that, like, Kyle and I scream from the rooftops that the artistry of what Australian musicians are doing is you know, in a lot of ways is unmatched, because they know that there is such a small chance of success of making with their musical career, in terms of making a living off of it, that no one wants to bend the knee to like trends, or like chase what they think people want to hear. They're like, no, this is what I want to make, so I'm going to make what I want to make. So there's like an artistic purity in a lot of it that you might not necessarily get from bands in areas like America, where it's very easy to chase a trend, and like you've got so many people, many markets in such a small space. Like it's and I mean, there's like I can send lists, pages and pages of Australian bands that are just absolutely killing it. They just got incredible stuff.
I'd love to check them out. Make some connections as well.
I'll send you the list, man. I'll send you the list.
Honestly, but looking at the new numbers here, by my standard, you guys are a big band. You guys are like starting to tip into like big tier. No, like I'm just having a look at the Spotify numbers. I'm just scrolling through them now, and it's like, dude, you got like hundreds of thousands of streams across the singles, the album, the EP, the whole lot. What is the actual scene like in Sweden, or is most of your stuff just like pumping through TikTok and really sort of focusing the game on that social media side of things?
Well, for Switzerland, not Sweden, but
sorry, Switzerland.
Don't worry, people make the mistake. Sweden is about as far from here as what you said Brisbane is from Sydney.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's to show you how small Europe is, and that's where I'm getting at. You see, there's not really a sort of you don't really have national scenes that much anymore. You still kind of do in Europe, because so many different nations, so many different scenes. It's kind of mixed, especially around Germany. Germany's sort of the center, I believe, of the European music. Obviously, it's center of Europe anyways, but center of the European music, sort of anything that goes on. Like even our biggest band in Switzerland, Paleface, you might ring a bell. Yeah. They're all, I think, apart from the singer, I think they're mostly living in Germany now. They have all their management there and everything. So that's basically like our national Tennessee. The music scene, I can say to what the Swiss scene is like, is Swiss people are a very skeptical people, which kind of ties into the whole neutrality thing. It's anything new is like, I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'll look, but I won't say much, and I won't be standing behind it just yet, right? And it's very, very difficult in Switzerland, at least with an already oversaturated market, to sort of convince people to get on the side. A lot of the bands that get the most support, this is sort of different than the way it is in America. The bands that get the most support are bands that I would say have been around for, say, more than 10 years, 10, 20 years, or like sort of legacy local bands. Because after 10 to 15 years, people will be like, yeah, these guys are the band from here. They like to put them into the box. Yes, We have this band here in Thurgau, Mabon. I absolutely love them. They are the Thurgau metal band, you know. They're not huge, but that's the band that, people associate with this canton, this small region of an even smaller, just a slightly bigger region. And so for us in particular, it's been very difficult to get accepted in Switzerland because of, number one, and number two, the lyrics and just the whole thematic is not very Swiss at all. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm not very Swiss either.
No.
I'm a half Irish. I was born there, but I moved here when I was very young. So I have a little bit of both. So I have kind of the Irish mentality a bit, and I also have the sort of the Swiss touch as well to me. And so with regards to where our success comes from, it's been mostly us just throwing our music out there and seeing where it sticks. And where it's been sticking is the US, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, also Sweden is a big one too. And it's actually almost a shame that our home country isn't even on our top 10 countries with regards to our Instagram followers or our Spotify or anything. So we've kind of broken through, but not in Switzerland yet, which is why when you said we're a big band, it doesn't feel that way, because here in Switzerland, we're still kind of like a local band, you know what I mean? Yeah, so a lot of it, but despite that, when we do get gigs, there are people there. It's just less of a sort of, the guitarist of Paleface said on a podcast just a few months ago, he said, if you want to get accepted by the Swiss metal scene, you have to be successfully, you have to be internationally successful first. And that's kind of,
here, man.
yeah, and that's, thank God for social media, at least in that aspect, because I don't think 20 years ago or 10 years ago, you could have this option of reaching people across literally across the globe, and it has its plus sides, it has its downsides, but all I can say is, with regards of being able to break through, maybe the biggest portion of our fans are in the US, but they're listening to our music, they're buying merch, they're waiting for us to come and play, they'll be at our shows, you know what I mean? So it's just a question of, I don't think it matters that much where your audience is, as long as you do actually build an audience. So if I were to tell something to up and coming Australian metal bands, is honestly, do what you can in Australia, but try to build up something internationally, and that kind of means you might have to put yourself in a non-Australian mentality too. You kind of want to see what's going on in the world, and that's difficult, especially if there's a language barrier. But fortunately, you guys speak English, probably better than the Americans do. So you can
depends how many beers we've had.
Yeah. That's true. And so basically, you at least have the option, which a lot of Swiss bands wouldn't have, is where we can reach an audience in the US, UK, because my English is not. I don't speak English like this, which is usually very, you know what I mean? Like a lot of English speakers will kind of cringe at that a little bit.
No, I'd just be happy that we'd be able to communicate, because that was that was my automatic worry. I'm like, as long as we can communicate on some sort of level, I'm going to be happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's communication, and if you can't communicate to this audience that doesn't speak your language, you have to communicate in their language, and this is something I have no problem with at all. So it's kind of like a little blessing that I have, is that I'm Irish too, so I can sort of reach that audience. A lot of Swiss bands just simply have the problem of not being able to post on social media in English properly. Their English will be weird, broken. So yeah, I mean, there's plus sides and downsides in every scene, I'd say. But
we've got a series that we do on the channel called Rockin' Around the World, and we try and we basically, there's this big map that has a list of like literally based off an encyclopedia of metal bands from all over the world, and there's just like a randomizer on it. So we'll just hit the randomizer and find a metal band from somewhere in the world and check them out. And like the idea is that we want to try and find bands that are from regions we're not already familiar with. So like, you know, we try and not like, you know, if it's an American band or a Canadian band or a UK band, we'll kind of skip and try and find something else. But like we've been checking out stuff from like Madagascar, from Albania, from like there was what was the German band that we found? 10,000 square kilometers of time. We found some German stoner rock band. Like
really?
Awesome.
we got we've been going all over Spain.
What's your biggest surprise so far? Like what's a country that had a band you're like, holy shit, they're from here?
I think the favorite one that I've found was probably Scopus Magnus. They're from Finland.
Okay.
And they basically
Sniper
describe
metal.
themselves as sniper metal. So
Sniper metal.
Yeah, sniper metal. So
I'm already intrigued.
Oh yeah. So
It's good.
They've got a song about like assassinating the Pope. So it's
Oh Lord of Lord.
like
Oh,
we've been talking with them. I think we've actually trying to line up an interview with them for next weekend. So like they'll be probably the next one. We've got like 2 back-to-back European bands, which is going to be pretty cool. But
The Madagascar one had to be the weirdest one to date.
Yeah.
That video was really weird, but it was great to see.
It's people working with what they've got, you know, like it was just and just finding these little, just like all the little unique elements from their cultures that get folded into what they're doing, you know, like because we want to just explore that and find, because there's so much out there, and we just you know we never want to be the people that get complacent and only listen to the bands that we've been listening to for 20 years and don't ever listen to anything new.
It's great that you guys actually put in an effort to do that, you know? I mean, that's not most people. So, but, you know, I think, say you found this band in Madagascar, maybe eventually you get these guys on a podcast, and that might just be that thing to help them elevate them to the next level, you know? So, a lot of what what your podcast is doing is very charitable for us as bands too. So I'm very.
I don't think we have that big of an audience yet. I don't think we have that.
You're
big of an
giving up
audience.
your time to us. You're
giving us way
the
too much
charity and the
credit,
content.
So don't look. No, you guys invited me, and I'm very happy to be here and talk. Just yap on about my music because there's nothing I like doing more.
we're happy to talk about.
That's why we called
That's
why we called the podcast Two Dudes Talk Music, because we're literally like Kyle and I just have like we would be having a lot of these conversations that we have on the podcast, even if there wasn't a camera and a microphone in front of us, you know, like that's the thing. Like I've made choices in my life. Like I've chosen not to have kids. I've made a lot of decisions, you know, so like music and sort of a lot of these creative endeavors that I'm pursuing is like, that's my legacy in the world in a lot of ways. And so, you know, it's just part of like, that's where a lot of my energy is going, you know, is into that stuff. And we want to, like I said, I really, really hope that off the back of us speaking with you today, that like, I mean, I know you've already got a bit of a big audience over here in Australia, but I really hope that more people start sort of picking up what you guys are putting down over here, because I genuinely think I mean, you saw King Parrot, you saw the energy those guys bring to the stage. Like from what I've seen of you guys,
so funny.
From what I've seen,
I laughed more than anything. Like it was just unhinged, you know.
Yeah, but that's the intensity, right? And you know, you guys we were Kyle and I were talking about it before we kind of before you jumped on there, was the things, just little touches of what you guys do, like the artwork for your stuff that you guys are releasing. Like that's got a very Aussie sensibility about it. But that I don't know if that's stemming from sort of your like kind of your Irish background is sort of playing an element in there.
Sorry, something's going on here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, back again.
But like it's you know, you basically something, you know, your artwork with like the guy, like the goon, like riding in the car with the you know, running down the coppers and stuff. Like you take that, you replace that car with a ute, and you put a a beer in the guy's hand, and that's basically Australian cover art, like right there, bang, straight away.
Ever change your pigs into little koalas?
Something like that.
It's set.
That's it. It's But I want to. I want to ask about this, and I appreciate that you may not be able to tell us a whole lot about it. So please, if you can't, that's totally fine. But I want to ask about the film clip that you guys did that got you guys in a bit of hot water.
Oh yeah, no, I can talk about that almost entirely freely. So we had a music video for Anti-Blitzer Aktion, and a blitzer is German for a speed camera. And you may not know this about Switzerland, you probably don't, but we have an atrocious amount of them here. And it's not one of those situations where, oh, you drive 20 kilometers an hour too fast and your fine is, $50. No. You drive 6 kilometers too fast, that's $120 right off the bat.
It's about the same.
Kilometers. If I'm not constantly looking at my tachometer on German, I'm already too fast. I need to constantly look at it. And it's what they do is they set them up. They have these mobile ones, and they just set them up in random places, especially in places where you're like, oh, this road is completely empty. There's no houses. I'm not endangering anyone. Next thing you know, fucking speed camera just hiding behind a house. Yeah, that's $500 from your paycheck gone. Fuck you. That's the huge part. Zurich, the cops, the city police of Zurich, they made $70 million in 1 year. 70 million in speed camera fines. That's just atrocious. In the entire city, there's like 60 cameras or 60 to 80 cameras. Like, just divide that. It's a money-making thing. Anyways, it's so fucked up. Every Swiss person hates them, absolutely hates them. And one time I was just thinking, man, one of these days, I'm just going to grab one of my shotguns and just going to drive around and fucking shoot them all. Just, do some property damage. Because that's something I kind of find funny, is property damage. But the whole idea was, let's make a music video called Anti-Blitzer Aktion, and it's just like, yeah, we're going to start a movement against these blitzers, and it's going to consist of people just getting into their cars, getting pissed drunk, which and shooting speed cameras, right? All in the spirit of humor, right? Obviously, no one's going to do that. No one has done that, but. We made this song, and then we had these stickers, and these circular stickers had Anti-Blitzer Aktion, and then a picture, like a graphic of us in the middle shooting shotguns at speeding cameras. And now we spreaded these everywhere, these stickers at shows and anything, and people started sticking them on the speed cameras. And they also started sticking them on cop cars. And we have Polizei, police. The sticker fit perfectly into the little circle in the oak. Perfectly. So we constantly get these stickers, pictures of these stickers in all sorts of places. Now, obviously, the authorities then found out about the song, and they looked at our music video and like, let's see if we can find anything illegal about this. They're holding a bunch of guns. And then... obviously, they're not real guns. I mean, come on. We're in a public place. We're not going to be... I do have real guns, but I'm not going to fucking bring them out in public just for a music video. Like, I'm not worth the jail time. So the cops basically accused us of... under Swiss law, anything that looks like a weapon is also considered a weapon. So if you walk around with an airsoft pistol, or a water pistol for that matter, if it looks too real, you can go to jail for up to 3 years. Now, so this is the charges we got. We got the charge of Verstoß gegen das Waffengesetz, which is basically breach of the weapons law, and up to 3 years in prison or a fine. Yeah, so they called us all in. Our previous guitarist, who was wanting to become a cop, he lost his position in the police academy. Wow. We never got charged because we immediately lawyered up and everything. Like, I remember just calling my dad. And, he has this philosophy of, whenever you speak to cops, don't. So, yeah. So,
is your dad the Irish one?
Yeah, of course he is.
Yeah. I feel you. I've got that part in me too.
You do?
Yeah.
Part Irish as well?
Yeah,
a lot of Australians are. Oh, there you go. Nice. Right. He basically said, just fucking say nothing at all. Get a lawyer. Show up with a lawyer. And in Switzerland, there's this it's very high trust society. So always showing up with a lawyer is very not Swiss at all. So when you do, it's like extra intimidating to the police. Like, they get scared shitless. So showed up with a lawyer. They dropped all charges about 2 months later, saying the district attorney said basically, and it was actually kind of funny. He basically was bitching at the cops for wasting resources on something on a matter like this.
Oh wow,
Because
wow.
they're police resources on a bunch of kids and literally, I mean, we're not that young, but with toy guns in a music video, which is obviously jokeful. I mean, you might have seen the music video. It's just us
Yep.
acting like a bunch of goons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a whole funny situation. I was a bit more worried about it at the time because obviously, facing real jail time. But we didn't do anything illegal because as soon as you have a camera and you're making an art project, there's a sort of gray area of what's allowed.
100%, 100%.
Exactly.
It's an expression. It's just an expression.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's artwork. Yeah. I mean,
At the end of the day, nothing could have happened, but it really was just an attempt by Swiss authorities to sort of, slap back at us. You know what I mean?
yeah,
100%. If stickers are going up, you're making people think, and that upsets the establishment. And when you're
course, yeah.
an anti-establishment band, I actually find it really funny that your guitarist was in a band that was so anti-establishment, but then was trying to join this. It seems a bit redundant.
Yeah, it's quite ironic because, he joined the band, and he had always wanted to become a cop. He's a military guy, and
Okay.
all of us are actually, but
You have to be, don't you? Isn't there
Yeah.
there's conscription over there still.
Exactly, we still have it,
Yeah.
and our two new members, Natasha and Patrick, they're not in the military, but myself and Luca are, and so, but he was like extra. He loved it so much, he wanted to become make a career out of that, and then he joined the band. And back then, this was early 2022, we weren't that anti-establishment just yet, right? It was just sort of. And then we just released Murder of the Government, and then this guy was like, "Yeah, I help you guys out for another few months, but I probably have to leave at some point because I'm going to the police academy. And when I'm in the police, I can't be in the band anymore." And they were like, "Yeah, fine." He stayed for another year because he was too young. I mean, he was like 19 and he wanted to become a cop. He stayed for another year, and then we did this music video, and then he lost his position at the police academy, and then he was like, "Yeah, no, lads, I can't be hanging out with you anymore." And we were like, "You know what? That's fine, But he did get another position at a different police academy in a different canton, so everything worked out for him too.
Cool.
I'm glad that he got that. So I mean, I get what you're saying about the speed cameras as well. Like, it's a very contentious issue in Australia. I know in down in Sydney, I think when they got those mobile cameras, they have to put a sign up, but up here in Brisbane, they don't. Like, so they'll just have the car parked on the side of the road, and it's marked with certain markings once you get close to it, but by then it's pinged you if you got the thing, and they don't. The fines and the penalties are ridiculous. And it's the kind of thing where, like, if you're one of those things, right? Like, if the punishment for a crime is a fine, then it's only a crime for poor people. And it's just one of those things, and it's ridiculous. But again, even the gun laws too. Like, the gun laws are the same. I mean, I have at one stage I had a replica pistol that was like a film prop quality replica pistol, the laws in Australia say that I have to store that in a gun safe the same way as if it was a real one, because it is so, like, it looks so realistic. Like, it doesn't have the orange cap or anything like that. It's like, it's metal, it's heavy. It looks like if I was to have that out in public waving it around, any reasonable person would see that and think that it was a real gun, like, no questions. It even has like a magazine, like a thing that comes out that you can kind of put in. Like, it has the slide action. The barrel is completely filled in, like, with metal. You can't, but
it's just, I mean, I get what they're getting at, but it's stupid because a gun that doesn't work is not a threat. I mean, yes, you can intimidate someone with it, but like, you can intimidate someone with a knife just as well. So why would you focus on the gun?
Yep.
It's stupid. It's like any reasonable person would be like, I have a prop gun here.
Yeah.
Well, not reasonable. I mean, obviously criminals aren't reasonable, but I have a prop gun here, I have a knife here. Both are intimidating. This one actually works, this one doesn't. So why the fuck would the authorities go after the gun?
The laws, the weapon laws in Australia are very, very strict. Like, we had there was a mass shooting in the mid 90s, I think, in a
Yeah,
town
Port
called
Arthur.
Port Arthur down in Tasmania,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that basically led to they got rid of like automatic
It was
weapons
basically a
completely.
buy.
It was
It
like
was a
they bought,
buyback.
yeah.
They
So
did a buyback scheme. It was
yes,
reasonable what they did. So it was if you wanted to declare your gun, we
Mm-hmm.
will give you money for it. And pretty much 90% of the Australian population just went, you know what? I really realistically have no reason for this. And it didn't matter if it had serial numbers. They weren't checking nothing. They weren't doing
yeah, it was
anything
like a
about it. They just
buyback
went,
and amnesty
we'll
sort
buy
of
it back
thing.
and
You
we
could,
get rid of it.
yeah, to get rid of them and get them out of the place, and and they've got like very strict very strict laws for like
Really,
storing
it's
and
not.
transporting them and everything. And no, I don't think any of it's particularly unreasonable when it comes to
No.
actual weapons. When it comes to
Yeah.
actual weapons, the laws are I think very very reasonable that they've got in effect here. But it's
But then again, we got really weird laws when it comes down to protecting your house too.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
like
are those like?
like it's almost like if someone broke into your house, you're better off beating them just to the point of death, dragging him out the front down the street, ringing
Mm.
up the ambulance, and just go. There's some guy laying on the street. Looks like he's been beat up.
yeah.
Then
Yeah.
calling the police
Yeah.
and getting them to come to your house and going through all that rigmarole. You're better off just smacking the shit out of him, drag him out the front, take him down the street, just call up an ambulance and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy was lying here. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Well, I probably don't know what the law is here, but probably would be the same thing here. I know of a case where a guy he was there was a burglary happening at his house while he was there, and the guy basically fled and he wanted to climb down the balcony. And the bastard, of course, the guy who I know, I'm not going to name any names now, but he basically wanted to not let him go down. Wanted him to get arrested. The martial arts guy, he wanted to hold him. And what it ended up happening is the guy fell down the balcony. And now the official story is the guy fell down by himself. No, but I kind of don't think that's what happened. I think he kind of fucked him down. But I know for the fact that police basically were like, well, he wasn't supposed to be in the house. He did come in through the balcony, so he probably tried to escape through the balcony again. So I guess we'll close this case.
Yeah, good. There's less paperwork for everyone that way.
Exactly. So the thing is in Switzerland, the gun laws are very, very laissez-faire. Very American. It's not much more difficult to get a gun here in Switzerland. And of a country of 8 people, there are 4 to 5 million registered guns. Those are the ones we know
Wow.
of. Yeah, it's a very high rate. I personally have 4 guns. So I mean,
Okay.
it's one of them is my service rifle, but it's a very strong gun culture here too. Certain guns you could just walk into the store and show your ID. They do a quick check if you're a criminal or not, and then you can walk out just like in America. But other guns you have to go through a bit of paperwork, but effectively they give it to anyone who isn't a violent criminal. So. Yeah, they also don't seem to be, which is funny. We're an anti-establishment band, but I think Switzerland is actually one of the places where it probably isn't that bad. It's definitely better in certain aspects than other countries. But I did spend a lot of my teen years and later on as well, like sort of seeing how things were in the other places of the world, especially the United States, and sort of getting into the politics of other countries as well. And that kind of kept me out of the loop of Swiss politics. Interestingly enough, I was more interested in international things than it was my own country, which kind of flipped nowadays. But back in the day, that's why I know of your gun buyback program. I know about the Port Arthur thing and
No,
everything.
cool.
So, and especially what's going on in America, and I can see a lot of parallels. But obviously, I'm very strong of the opinion that the guns are not the problem because our country is living proof. You have to solve some other problem if you want to get rid of gun violence, but it definitely isn't.
Do you reckon that
So-
has anything to do with the sort of conscription line because it's sort of I guess because everyone knows what a gun can do because it's sort of forced into you when you join the army. There's that automatic
Like respect for the
respect
what
for
it
the
can
weapon
do.
that comes afterwards.
100%. Yeah, I'd say that's the main reason. But there's also a very strong private shooting sort of tradition here. Like we have, okay, first of all, anyone who's been in the military has to go shooting once a year. This is mandatory. So that's one thing with the service rifle that you get. And then also there's just events. Every little village has a shooting range. Also by law they're required to, and they have to every year. Every single village will have their shooting day where people can go shooting. But it's like it's a sort of very controlled environment. It's not there for like the Americans where they have this is fucking shoot some shit. It's more target shooting and everything, and who can get the higher score. Very healthy competition, and from a young age in Switzerland, you're just taught these guns. Like Switzerland being a neutral country, very defensive country, we have a big army for our size, very big, very strong defensive sort of structures everywhere. We have bunkers in mountains that have cannons facing down the valley and everything.
Wow.
It's very crazy. So we have a very like sort of how should I say, castle mentality here in Switzerland. Like anything goes on in here, we have rules. But if shit ever hits the fan, effectively the gun is a tool for war. And during peacetime, we treat it as a sort of traditional thing because our long-lasting independence and everything, it kind of ties into that. It's all about the culture around the guns. It's not a toy, but the funny thing is, it's still very easy to get a gun here, and you can do the same shit as you can in America. You can have fully automatic weapons. You can have, all sorts of attachments on it. You could even technically own also ammo, completely unregulated. You can order 100,000 rounds of ammo.
Wow.
No question. Completely. I just to find out if this was true, I ordered some. And it came in the mail in a little box. Like, hey, here's your ammo, sir.
Wow.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. But yeah, it's definitely the conscription is, in my opinion, a good thing. Now, obviously, I'm not a big fan of the whole idea of needing an army, but in the case of Switzerland, where it's a purely defensive thing, Switzerland has never tried any colonization or any oppression of any minorities or anything like that.
It's more of a just leave us the fuck alone kind of deal.
Exactly.
Look, we know how to use these things.
Yeah.
You go your thing, and we're going to do what we're going to do over here, and we're all going to live
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You got it dead right there. Yeah.
So coming back around to the music side of things there.
Yeah.
What have you guys got planned for this year? What are your goals for this year? What are you hoping to achieve? Is there any more releases kind of on the way that we should keep an eye out for?
Well, I mean, obviously we're constantly writing music, so there's going to be a single in a few weeks. It's going to be called. Well, actually, I can't say because we have 2 singles ready.
Okay.
So we don't know which one we really want to prioritize first. So effectively, our biggest goal currently is actually to get to the United States in some way at all. And also is sort of we've sort of reached a new level recently in these past months, audience wise and just relevancy wise. We get a lot more podcasts, invitations. We've met a lot of bigger bands as well and stuff. And so we're kind of we sort of stepped up a little, and we kind of want to see how far the networking can get us. But this is just on our side now. For our audience, obviously, you can expect another album this year. So we're speeding up things. We're constantly working on things. We have honestly gig opportunities come in constantly. We can't take them all, but because finances come into play and everything and all that. But we're just looking to play as many gigs as possible, keep promoting our stuff on social media, drop the album, and I'm really trying to work together with some bigger artists, so we might be seeing a feature from a unnamed worldwide known artist. That's
all right.
More
we-
features. More features.
yeah, you'll see. But I can promise you'll at least know the musical projects he's involved in.
Amazing. Oh, that sounds so cool, man. I honestly, like, you guys have done so much cool shit already, and it sounds like this year is just going to be even taking it to a new level, which I'm so excited to see what you guys, put out there this year. As I've said, earlier, like, I think if the opportunity arises for you to make it over to Australia, like, I think that'd be really cool. I think you would be received so well in the scene over here. The music is very much kind of right in the sensibility of what I think a lot of Australian metal fans would be wanting to listen to. So and then look, if that comes up, absolutely let us know. Like, we'll be awesome to say hi in person and see you guys do your thing on stage for sure. But we'll wrap the podcast up there. For those of you who have been watching this far or keeping along on the podcast, we will have a quick question quarter and get in the bin coming on the weekend. But for now, we're going to wrap this one up. Thank you very much, mate. Like, honestly, we appreciate your time so much. And we look forward to seeing what you guys have got rolling for this year. We will have links to all of the XONOR social medias down in the description, so people can go and follow you guys on all of the places that they've got going on. And I can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll be very surprised of which band it is, but especially in regards to this feature. But hello, dude. It's been a honor to be on this podcast.
That was good. That was good gear. I like that.
I really appreciate it. Love talking to new people and love what you guys are doing.
Thank you very, very much, Donna. Thank you very much, everyone who's watched. I have been Reverend Raff. This has been the Beer Buddy Kyle. Go and check out XONOR. They're doing absolutely amazing stuff, and we will catch you guys next time. Peace out.
Peace.
See ya. Government shite. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We really hope you had a good time. If you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell down there. It helps the channel grow. We are still a fairly young channel, and we like to try and grow our audience all over the world. We do also, for those of you who are interested, have a Patreon. It's just a couple of bucks a month. At the moment, you get all the videos early and ad-free, but we are working on ways to increase the value of that and make it a bit more enticing. So don't forget to keep an eye out and check back on what's going on over there. Other than that, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.